Hi, my name is Carla Campos, and I am the founder of Social Tech Live, a very cool, innovative conference happening in Miami this July at FIU. And today we have Christoph Trappe of the Authentic Storytelling Project, and he helps companies tell their story authentically. Hi, Christoph. How are you today?
Doing great. Thanks again for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. So can you tell people more about your new book?
Yep, you bet. So I just published my first book, Authentic, Get Real, sharing authentic stories for long-term success. I just happen to have a copy here. I'll show it to you. Self-published, about 180 pages, and it published late last year, 2015. And I was kind of fighting the publishing a book trend for a long time. Everybody was saying you got to write a book. Experts have books, blah, blah, blah. You got to be an author. And I said, people can just read my blog. They don't need to read my book. And so I finally gave in because, I could just see once you have a book, it raises the level of credibility. It's something you can leave behind with people. People can read it. People can read my blog, and they do. But reading a book it's just a very different experience. So I finally did give in to that trend and wrote the book, and it's now up on Amazon. I know attendees to the workshop at the conference will get a copy, but I did publish it, and it was kind of an experience to get that going. Do you want me to hop into that for a little bit, or?
Yeah, I think people kind of want to know maybe how long the process is, because sometimes people get scared because it's going to take me forever to write a book. It's so
right. Absolutely. So I actually used the blog to book strategy, and everything in the book technically is on the blog. But obviously I did some rewriting, reorganizing, restructuring, all those different things. And I wrote blog posts around storytelling for a couple of years. And then I went back and I looked at what I already had, and I made chapters out of it. And then sometimes the chapters didn't flow, so I added additional material to make it more interesting. Sometimes I moved things around, and I wrote about, I added transitions and those kind of things. So it was quite a process. So really, I wrote my blog for quite a while. It had around 200,000 words on it at the time I started looking at my book. And there's about 35,000 words in the book. So as you can see, most everything on the blog is not in the book, but everything in the book technically is on the blog. So I did that, did some rewriting. There's things in blog posts that don't belong in a book. They don't make any sense. So I went through that whole process, editing, learned how to publish, self-publish. They're printed on demand by Amazon around the world. It's been printed on 3 continents, which is really super interesting to know and see. But it took me about 3 months to edit and all those different things. I had a friend design a cover, and then it got published. And now, I take them with me. I give them to people. I sell them to people. I don't go to like the flea market or anything like that. But, if people want to buy it, they can buy it. And that's kind of how that happened. It's a process. There's definitely things I learned and things I would do differently, like how much space do you leave at the top of a page and how much space do you leave at the bottom of a page? And those are some of the things that we don't think about, right, the first time we're doing it. So hopefully in July, I can share everything I've learned that has worked and everything I've learned that didn't work with your crew there in Miami. So it should be exciting.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. There's so many people here who want to write a book, but they feel that it's so like a hard process. And, I think your story and showing them your process is going to really help them. So the session that you're giving is $59.99, and they can go on Eventbrite to sign up. So we decided to do a separate workshop at the conference because you have so much material to share. Can you kind of tell us more about that?
Yep, absolutely. So it's going to be a 3-hour hands-on workshop. We'll kind of, I'll give people the high level idea what I was trying to do, why I did it, how I did it, and then we'll walk through everything step by step. And people obviously can take that back with themselves, and then they can implement it themselves. But we'll go through it step by step, make sure people understand it. It's not going to be like 2 hours and 50 minutes of me talking and then 10 minutes of Q&A. Nope, questions are allowed during the session. It's going to be a conversation. It's going to be interactive, and I'll share everything I know, everything I've learned, everything I already knew, and hopefully people can turn their blog into a book when they're done. The trick is you just got to keep blogging, right? If you don't have anything on your blog, you can't turn 3 articles into a book. So that's really where it all starts. You have to know what you're going to blog about and keep going and never stop. And when I use WordPress, and there's a little plugin, the word counter. You can count how many words are on your blog, and there's no other use for that counter other than knowing how many words you have. But when I hit 200,000, I thought maybe now is a good time to look at doing this book. And I should let you know, I'm writing 2 other ones already, and they're already in they're already in development. But I'm writing the blog post, right? And I'm just trying to write about that topic. And then when I have enough material, I will turn it into a book. One is actually about customer experience, how to put the customer first in the digital world and also offline. And then the other one is about content marketing and journalism. So as you may know, my background is in journalism. That's where I started my career. So how do journalists make the jump to content marketing?
Well, awesome. And there's a lot of people trying to figure that out there in the space as well. So it'll be interesting to share that as well. And you're going to be there at the conference. Maybe your books will be done. I'm not sure, but they can get that kind of information from you, from your experience as well. So,
yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask, so say people come to your workshop and already have a blog that is kind of already advanced, with a lot of content. How long do you think it would maybe take them to get it from a good sized blog with content to a book?
It took me 3 months. Now, not full time, but it took me about 3 months because first of all, I had to go through my blog and I had to say, this is good, this is not so good, this is interesting, let's think about it. And then I put all that in a Word document. And then I basically, you have to go through it and you have to update it and you have to delete things and you have to edit things and all those different things. And then I had an editor who read it and then we had to move more things around. So most everything at that point was editing and reformatting and figuring out what needs to be in the book. And so there's very little writing in the big picture of things at that point. But it took about 3 months. And the other thing is you kind of have to put it aside because if you have 180 pages, you can't just, like a blog post, you can read like 5 times, in a night before you publish. You got 180 pages, 34,000 words. You can't read that over and over without taking a break. So you do have to kind of put it aside. And I did. I sent it to an editor, and then she edited it, and then I read it again, and then I put it aside for a week or two, read it again, and so at some point you have to let it go and just publish. But it took about 3 months to get it all done. Mm-hmm.
So your book is 180 pages?
Right around there, yep. Mm-hmm.
And how do you feel that size book has kind of done in the market?
Yep, I think that size is pretty good. When I first started out, when I was looking at the current book, I think we were right around 140 pages already into it, the customer service one. And I was like, when do we start wrapping up? And I think once you get to 150, 180, that seems to be a good size. It's not too thick, it's not too thin. I actually did this. I just did this one Sunday afternoon. I did this guide to live social media video. And as you can see, it's really thin. It's like 30 pages, right? But basically, you can buy it on Amazon and people buy it on there. But it's really in the moment. So like in 6 months, it's going to be outdated, honestly, because everything has evolved already. But it's really too thin. Like when I look at it, I'm like, what can be in here that I need to spend $2 or whatever it is for? You know what I mean? It's too thin. So it's just that expectation by people too. What can you say in just a few pages? So I think 180 pages is probably pretty good. But as I said, that's about 34,000 words. So, if you write long blog posts, if you write 1,000-word blog post, that could be, you could get away with only 34 articles and you already are almost there.
And how much is your book, the one for storytelling? And
Yep, the storytelling, $15 on Amazon, and then I don't remember what the Kindle version is, maybe like $7 or something like that. So it is available on Kindle. I also had a couple public libraries pick it up, so that's kind of interesting. You can actually rent it there, and that's a couple bookstores, independent bookstores, they offer it as well, $15. So that's what it goes for. Mm-hmm.
So did these people just reach out to you because you were on the Amazon platform, or did you do something behind the scenes? Don't tell us what you did, but
Yep. Yep.
Just...
So you mean the local bookstores?
Yes.
Yep. So the local bookstores, I mean, obviously I live here, and everybody is friendly with each other. So I just reached out and said, "Are you interested in carrying my book?" And they were. So that's kind of how that happened. And it's a couple blocks from me, so I promote them, they promote me. Everybody wins.
Are you popular in the neighborhood because you blog? Is that does that?
I guess, but they didn't turn me down. It was kind of interesting. One of them actually, they said, "I wanted to read the book. I'm going to read the book before I let you know if I actually want to carry it." So that was kind of cool, but it was also interesting because another bookstore said they would just carry it, and this one owner, he wanted to read it first, and I thought that was kind of neat because he doesn't want to offer something he can't stand behind for his